Ah! All right.
About as good as I'm gonna get. So we just saw the McDonald's movie, The Founder.
I liked it a lot. It was a really good movie.
Yeah.
Straight up. But what I was talking to Nate about is I feel like this review is going to be more about the subject matter than the movie itself.
Yeah.
Because
the story
God.
It writes itself. I don't think there was much that needed to be written in terms of from the story as it happened to the screenplay, and I'm sure that there's a lot more to it than we know.
Right.
But man, what an interesting story. Why does a man with the last name Kroc? Why is he the name you see all over McDonald's on the inside? You know,
Yeah,
like
it's crazy.
At the McDonald's in downtown Delaware, that one right off Sandusky, that they have a whole plaque dedicated to Ray Kroc, and it was actually one of the ones that he opened. That one right across the street from the CVS.
I didn't know that.
He cut the ribbon there. So,
yeah.
When that originally opened, they've remodeled that building like 9 times over, but when they originally opened, he was the ribbon cutter, and they have a whole plaque dedicated to him there.
Now, if you didn't know already, this movie is based completely on real events.
Mm-hmm.
And
obviously stuff like dialogue probably didn't happen
right.
exactly like that, and I'm sure there's a lot more courtroom stuff than what we saw, because we just saw a signing of paper.
Right, really.
But man, what a cool story.
The movie did a really good job of making you sympathize for this guy at the beginning. You want to like this guy. You really want to like him for like the first half of the movie. Then you start saying, oh my, I hate that. No. It's interesting how they do it, but he's a terrible guy. Horrible.
Yeah.
Like, marketing genius. Like, he figured a way out of it, like, completely, but oh, man.
It's crazy, the guy who came up with that idea of, like, well, you need to be worrying more about the real estate piece.
I wonder
and then essentially creating the McDonald's Corporation real estate agency to just buy the land before the franchisees could take a lease on it, and then essentially undercut the franchise by... It's so interesting.
Yeah. I want to know how they actually met, because I feel like that way...
In the bank?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not. But you never know. I mean, stuff like that happens.
It's a crazy enough story that anything goes, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, the...
performances across the board were awesome.
Yeah.
The biggest issue I had with this movie as a movie... I had no clue how much time passed, and that might have been intentional.
Yes, no, I completely agree. I caught myself wondering that several times.
Yeah, because there was a point where he was like, oh, I started doing this in 1954.
But that wasn't actually when he started.
Right.
That was when the McDonald brothers started the restaurant.
Right. So, yeah, it was like...
we can look it up,
It jumps ahead like 10 years at the very end where it says 1970.
Yeah. There's
So
essentially the main plot of the movie ends with him opening up the 100th restaurant, I think, because that's when the one in San Bernardino right across.
Oh, was that the 100th?
I thought I heard him say that was the 100th. I'll look it up real quick.
Cool. Well, yeah, it was super interesting. That just really rubbed me in the wrong ways. It didn't have like a what year this was, and so it looked like he opened like one, and then had that for like a little while. I'm guessing like a year, and then he started getting all these franchisees. And that was one thing that I thought was really cool about the McDonald's story in general. Was sure, this dude was a total asshole, but look who he picked to be his franchisees, at least in this movie.
Right.
They were hardworking American men, and it's like...
that's why I really liked him at first, because it looked like he truly cared about the company.
When that Jewish guy is trying to sell his secretary a Bible, a Catholic Bible, and he's like, oh, what's a Jew doing selling a Catholic Bible? And he's like, well, I'm trying to make a living.
Right.
And he was like, that's exactly like him selling stupid milkshakes and paper cups.
So that's one thing I really admired about that guy. Now, it says here, in 1959, the 100th McDonald's opened in Chicago, so I don't know. But in 1961, is when Ray Kroc bought the rights to the McDonald's concept from the brothers.
Okay.
So, probably about 6-7 years.
Yeah, okay, so the chunk of this movie takes place over the course of, like, less than a decade. I thought it was, like, 15 years.
Yeah.
That is my biggest gripe with the whole movie. Acting all across the board is great. I loved the two brothers on... What's the...
I don't know.
The one dude plays the Zodiac Killer in Zodiac, and
really?
the other dude, isn't he... I have to look it up, because it was bugging me the whole time. The guy you said looked like my dad. Dick McDonald.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta look up that cast. Like, Linda Cardellini, of all people, was the blonde that he ends up with.
Now, one thing, how did that come about? They didn't explain that either, really.
Yeah, like how they got married and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm assuming dude from The Conjuring, Patrick, what's-his-face, he just totally swooped in and stole his girl. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean that wasn't important to the plot, really. It just shows that he got everything he ever needed.
The moment that you saw her on stage or on screen playing the piano and stuff, you were like, you knew where that was going.
Mm-hmm.
That scene where he was, Nick Offerman, it's that dude from Parks and Rec.
Oh yeah,
he played. Yeah, I thought that's who it was. I just didn't know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole thing with like Laura Dern, his wife, and like his like at home conflict, I thought was lame. Like every time it cut back to them, I was like, oh no shit, they're gonna end in a divorce. It's like in every Scorsese movie
about it,
when the main character has like his first wife.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, what point in the movie does Martin Scorsese's main character get rid of his wife? Like in Goodfellas and Wolf of Wall Street, they get married a first time, and that lasts for, like, a little bit, and then they find the hotter, more attractive woman. It's a big movie trope, especially in these kind of, like, business movies.
What I liked about it, though, was how he ended it, just to show how evil a guy he became. They were just casually sitting at dinner, we weren't really talking.
Oh, yeah.
Then he goes, I want a divorce.
Yeah, after he's like, could you pass the salt? He's like, yeah, I want a divorce.
It was so messed up, but yeah, I don't know. Like, you gotta admire Ray Kroc because he really just he knew how to get it done. And as terrible a person as he was, he's the one who became the billionaire. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Michael Keaton's performance in particular. I'm surprised he didn't get an Academy Award nomination this year.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was one of those that had limited release.
Yeah,
like,
I thought it was
late December, and then it's distributed out more so here in the Oscar season with all the nominees coming out. Like we have like Moonlight and
La La Land.
Well, La La Land just came out for us. What else did we bring back? We brought back Jackie, and we brought back.
What was the other movie?
The Arrival, which we had that for like 2.5 months.
Yeah, it was a really.
It left theaters like 3 weeks ago, and then they brought it back because of the Oscar buzz. Mm-hmm. It's just something Cinemark does because people see them now that they have a claim to them, or I don't know. Mainstream audiences like to say that they saw a majority of the movies that were nominated.
Mm-hmm.
So like no one came and saw Moonlight when we had that in like October or November or whenever that was.
But yeah, you're probably selling some tickets now.
Probably. There'll be quite a few tonight.
So, yeah, I really liked the movie. I thought it was very good.
Yeah, I genuinely liked the story just behind everything.
Yeah.
And it was really cool how, like, the one dude, the first franchise that Michael Keaton opens, his own, or that Ray Kroc opened, and he just is like, that kid's doing a good job flipping burgers. What's your name?
Yeah,
his name?
That was cool.
And he ends up to take over Ray Kroc's position, like at the end, and it was like see him in like the background of every scene, and it's like
he was giving him all the employees crap. They're like, you're not flipping it right. There's not enough pickles. But then he looks at this guy and he goes, "That's a good burger you're frying."
Yeah,
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, and I also really liked the repetition of certain scenes and certain shots, and it's like the beginning he has a monologue about him trying to sell a stupid the 5-prong mixer blender or whatever.
Yeah, it's for milkshakes.
For milkshakes. and then like at the end, he's giving a speech that he gave with Ronald Reagan in the year 1970. It was the last, like it was after they jumped ahead a little bit, and yeah, I thought that was also really cool.
One of the turning points of the movie is when he finally says, "You know what? They're not cooperating with me. Screw it. I'm just telling them to use this fake milkshake powder."
Mm-hmm.
But it says they eventually went back to ice cream milkshakes, but
yeah,
I don't know. That whole thing was a mess. You could tell that he wanted the whole company at that point.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you kind of felt, you really, at the beginning of the movie, you're like, there's this awesome, like 15, 20-minute long scene where the McDonald brothers are explaining their entire backstory.
Yes.
And it's at a dinner, and I had just had his name pulled up. The brother who plays, John Carroll Lynch, that's his name. He's telling most of the story, and then Nick Offerman saying his 2 cents here and there. And it's a very comedic scene, but it's also like, that could be a movie in its own right. And it's so interesting seeing how they came from, out of nowhere, New Hampshire, came to Hollywood, wanted to be in the movie industry. The movie industry failed for them. Then they started their own movie theater. That didn't go well. They opened up a different burger joint, barbecue joint, and that only worked for so long. So then they literally cut their building in half to take it across town.
Yeah, right. That's crazy.
And it was just like, that's a crazy story, and that's all.
They could make a movie about that.
Yeah.
So,
it was so charming, and you really kind of fell in love with those characters.
So it felt so. And you felt so bad.
They were definitely quirky. You could tell John Carroll Lynch's character. He was like, he means well, and he really wants to be compromisable, and he wants his brother's dream to succeed. And his brother is the one who comes up with everything: the Golden Arches, McDonald's in general, like the icon. Right. And you gotta feel so bad for them at the end.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, they get a lot of money in a settlement, especially for adjusted for inflation. It's a ton of money, but
they didn't get the 1%.
No, I'm talking about the money he got, like the $2.3 million they actually got.
Oh.
When they sold the company.
I mean,
they did. There's this part where he says
they got $1 million a piece in the year
60.
No, it was 67. You said that's when he bought it out from underneath.
No, it was. Was it? I don't remember. No, no, it's 61.
Oh, 61 is when he bought it.
So that's even. It's
for $2.7 million, and then they said that they couldn't get the 1% in signature because he didn't want to take that away from the franchisees.
Right,
and they did it over handshake, and then he never.
And he never did it.
The 1%, which was going to be over $100 million a year. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's disgusting. They could have had way more than $1 million a piece.
Right, but oh my god, the situation is awful.
Yeah.
Ray Kroc tries to say, tell Dick that he's still a success or whatever because he has $1 million, I guess. Mm-hmm. But when you look at Ray Kroc having $700 million at the end of the movie,
yeah,
I feel so bad for them.
Yeah.
And then their business eventually goes out of business.
Oh, the one
when
they
it's
opened
not
right
a McDonald's anymore.
Yeah.
That's evil. Do not franchise a location there.
Yeah.
Terrible. But you gotta love this.
Very entertaining movie. Just all the way around. It's one of those that it'll be on TV, and I'll be right in the middle. Mm-hmm. And I'll be flipping through the channels. It'll be on right in the middle of the movie, and I'll watch it till the end. It's one of those. It's so interesting, so manipulative.
There wasn't a part where I was bored at all. It had me invested.
It slowed down a little bit, but
I wasn't bored.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what was going to happen next because I just love the characters so much, specifically the McDonald's brothers. But
yeah,
and I did like Ray Kroc for a little bit.
I like when he gives that speech to them when he's trying to get them under his wing or get them on board with him franchising it, and that he's like, yeah, you've got two things in every single small town in America. Mm-hmm. You've got church and you've got a court.
That's true.
Introduced McDonald's, and he was like, it's the arch to the church and to the court.
Right.
And that's
crazy.
That's brilliant. That's so crazy. And look at today's world. It's like there's a McDonald's like every street.
Every town has at least one McDonald's. There's a stat where it's like you can literally find the point where that's furthest from any McDonald's.
And it's like less than
not
10
that
miles.
far.
It's like less than 10 miles or something like that. It's crazy.
It's terrible.
And yeah.
It just goes to show what a success Ray Kroc ended up to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
But and there was another line that I wanted to bring up. I forget part of it, but it was like the McDonald's brothers. He was trying to get a sponsorship from Coca-Cola, and he goes, "We just don't want to do this sponsorship. It's not about McDonald's doesn't want to be the huge commercial giant." And then you look at it now.
Yeah, that's where a lot of the humor in the movie kind of comes from, is because the McDonald's brothers are so anti-big business.
They did not
so
want to become
against
that.
like what you see in the fast food industry today, and then like they're saying lines like, "That is not what McDonald's is about."
Right.
But then in 2017, McDonald's is all about.
That's all it's about.
Big business. It's all about signing partnerships with Coke. It's like McDonald's and Coke go hand in hand, and that's all because of Ray Kroc. You know,
he got it all done.
Yeah. I really love the scene where Ray Kroc first goes to the McDonald's, and he makes his order,
and then they just give him the bag immediately,
and he is
he's
so
like,
confused.
And he
he's
goes,
like, "No, I just
no,
ordered.
this isn't my food." And he's like, "No, right, but you ordered the hamburger." And he's like, "Yeah, it's in the bag." And he's like, "What?"
Yeah, and you think like all that kind of stuff, like that didn't exist in
we take it for
1950
granted
or whatever. Yeah,
we take fast food for granted because apparently it wasn't like that at all. And I thought they did a good job of showing that. Really.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie was in that really long 20-minute segment where they're explaining how they got there. But then they have a bunch of shots where it's like, we used to have a drive-in, but now it's this. And they'd have like a shot, and it was like one guy was like at a cigarette machine, and he was trying to get that, and they just replaced it with like a trash can, and it was like a whole bunch of really nice editing tricks, and it was like, we didn't need bellhops, we just had people walk up to the window themselves and stuff like that.
Right.
And I was like, that is so cool. That is such an interesting idea.
One thing I want to talk about again, I guess, is Ray Kroc truly cares about the company.
Oh, yeah.
He cares about it so much. He cares about it so much that he wants it to succeed, so much that he doesn't even care that the McDonald brothers, he disregards them completely. Because, to be honest, they were holding themselves back a lot. And I guess if at the cost of them, that's how the company has to progress, I guess.
One thing I really, really was like hoping this movie would get into is how you have like Ronald McDonald and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like
I was
maybe they weren't allowed to use the character's name because of copyright reasons. So they didn't want to like bring it up and have to give him some different name or not be able to use his name or his likeliness. They also weren't able to bring up the Ronald McDonald like charity and all that stuff. And I think that started right around the early 80s, right before Ray Kroc passed. Another issue I had with this movie, and this comes with the whole passage of time thing, none of the characters look like they age at all. And given adults don't really age that much in a span of 10 years per se, but the last scene, it's 1970. The first time we met Ray Kroc's character in this movie was at least 15
and he looked
years
the exact
ago.
same.
He looked the exact same. Like, they didn't even add extra hair or extra white to his hair or make him bald or heavier or
Maybe
anything.
it's budget or whatever, but
Oh, I mean, this movie has a very small budget. I think it was less than $10 million, because I looked it up. I was so surprised it was like an $8 million budget, especially since they had to recapture like the time of the 50s.
Right, that's impressive that they can do that. And
shout outs to production design and costume design.
Because it worked. I felt
that.
like it was in the 50s.
Yeah, there were scenes where I was like, yeah, this is perfect. Like, they do a really good job capturing the period. And almost like the death of the drive-in area,
right? Yeah, they touched on that too, like how just bad it was, the drive-ins.
Yeah, and along with like the Ronald McDonald, they didn't discuss like drive-throughs or anything, like how the franchise came from what it was in 1970 to now, and it's like
They could do a whole nother movie.
Maybe they did that for a reason, because that might not be as much of Ray Kroc's story. It might be more of the...
It was about Ray Kroc. It really was.
Yeah,
that's why they called it the founder, I guess. But
I wonder how they were able to use, like, McDonald's, like...
That's what I wanted.
Namesake and stuff. Is it just because McDonald's is so popular you're allowed to... Like, 'cause I don't think McDonald's was sponsoring this movie. I mean, that's...
No way. It put it in such a negative light. Not the fast food, but the founder.
Not the food itself. Mostly the person who created the company is what we know as it today. But, I mean, honestly, the fact that he was like, oh yeah, we're gonna... Yeah, powdered milk instead of real milk.
Right.
And that goes into the discussion. Those burgers in that movie look way better than the burgers we're about to actually go get at McDonald's.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true.
Yeah.
But I really think they could make more out of this movie.
Yeah.
I think there could be 3 movies here. I really do. There could be how the first McDonald's started, this whole fiasco that happened.
So you're saying this is the second part of a really awesome McDonald's movie trilogy?
Yeah, I think they could easily do that. But
so we have like a sequel to this, but then you gotta think about the documentary Super Size Me, kind of being the turn of that movie and how McDonald's is viewed after Super Size Me and before Super Size Me.
Yeah.
They had a show on fucking Nickelodeon in the 90s or whatever. The Ronald McDonald and Friends show.
I love that show.
And it was like after Super Size Me and stuff like that came out.
I had that on VHS.
Did you really?
I might still have it.
I had like a recording of one episode.
Ronald McDonald Land or something. I don't remember. I love that show. I watch that VHS all the time.
Yeah, and like after that movie, McDonald's changed. Like they weren't allowed to be associated with like kids and stuff anymore. And like Ronald McDonald slowly got pushed out of the center.
Which, to be honest, is a shame.
They weren't allowed to promote the toy. Like the toys today are not promoted nearly as much as they were when you and me were growing up in the real early 2000s. Do you remember like? I remember asking my parents like, "Hey, can we go to McDonald's to get the new Pokemon toy?"
Right.
Or like the whatever was big at the time. What movie was coming out typically?
Maybe it's the like nostalgia speaking or whatever, but I miss like characters like Grimace.
Yeah.
Like Birdie.
Yeah,
or
they got rid of those characters is like when we were 4 or 5.
And I remember them so clearly. I remember distinctly a bag I got for a Happy Meal where it had like Grimace picking out fries from the ground like they were a plant or whatever. I don't know. It's just huge evolution of the company. It's not anything like what it used to be.
Did we get any new trailers for stuff we haven't reviewed yet? That Shaq movie looks like shit with
terrible.
Sam Worthington or whatever.
It's one of those overly Christian movies, it seems.
Well, I know it's based off a Christian book, but they didn't really bring up God or anything like that in the movie.
There was a distinct moment where they were walking on water.
They were running on water, thank you.
Yeah, alright, but yeah, I'm gonna pass on that one.
Yeah, I'm not probably gonna be seeing that. Dog's Purpose comes out today.
Dog's Purpose?
About the dog who gets reincarnated.
I missed that.
Have you not? Like, there was like that whole animal abuse trial and shit because of that leaked video online of the dog getting thrown in the water when it clearly wasn't ready.
How did I miss this?
How do you miss this? This is like the biggest news in Hollywood besides the Oscars the past week.
I have
because
not
they canceled the premiere for the movie in Hollywood and
what?
They just.
I have to look at this when I get home. I don't know how I missed that. Oh my god, that's embarrassing. But,
So that comes out today. We've got all these Oscar movies out. What other trailers did we get? There was actually a surprising lack of trailers.
Yeah, there wasn't anything good, really.
We only had 3 or 4 trailers.
I can't think of a single one.
See, before that, the Shaq movie, we had a trailer. Did we get one for Gifted? That one with Chris Evans and his daughter or his niece or something, and she's super smart. Or was that for the last movie I saw?
She's super smart. It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But really, obviously, ridiculously unmemorable if we can't even bring it up at all.
Mhm.
But really, no, I can't remember anything. That's gonna bug me though. Now that I'm thinking.
Right. We got this. I know we got a trailer for some. It was some sort of action movie, and it was. Oh, we got that new Holocaust movie that's coming out
Holocaust. It was a
about
Holocaust
the
movie.
zookeeper's wife, which I know is also based off of a book.
There was that one Russian movie.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking when I thought action. There's one about Russia coming out in February, about like 1938
Stalingrad or whatever.
through 41 Russia, and it was called like Bitter Harvest.
Terrible.
Terrible name for a movie, and I get where they're going, but the trailer made it look more like an action movie about like one farmer or whatever rising up and starting some sort of revolution. So don't know about historical accuracy,
right?
On
but
this
maybe
movie.
that's not what
Whoever
they're
they
going
had
for.
playing Stalin didn't look very convincing. That looks like a disaster.
It
That
just
comes
looked
out in
like
a
bad.
month.
It was just bad trailers, really. I guess the Holocaust movie was the best of any of them.
Well, we also had that new heist movie with the three old dudes. You got
that's right. That was
Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman, and they're like their pension from the factory they used to work at is cut, so they're like, well, screw it, let's steal back from the bank. That looks funny. That looks like one I'd take my mom to go see or something.
Yeah, no, it looks funny.
Yeah, that looks
Probably the
pretty
best
silly.
trailer of them, really. Then.
Yeah, that Zookeeper's Wife movie looked really generic and
Generic.
almost like a Hallmark Holocaust movie.
Yeah.
Like
Which is a shame.
We had another one of those a few years. The Book Thief. It's based off a really good book. I know your
The
mom
book was
loves
good.
that book.
I like that book.
Yeah, that book is very impactful.
We had
but
to
then
read it for class.
The movie itself.
I didn't even see the movie.
Made freaking 1930, like 938 Warsaw look like a fucking Hallmark Christmas card. Like
really?
It was a PG-13 no, it was PG. It wasn't even PG-13. It was a PG Holocaust movie. I gotta make sure I'm not saying that wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was PG.
It sounds about
because
right.
I think there was they were trying to get our school to see it. The Book Thief. Yeah, it was 2013, and they were trying to get like our freshman class to go see it. And oh no, it was PG-13, but that was probably the controversy and why we didn't end up doing it in my interdisc class.
But
yeah, it was poorly received for a reason.
I didn't even see it. But that movie looks bad.
Yeah.
Maybe not bad, but just generic and boring.
Yeah, we're gonna have a stretch of pretty weird movies from probably February on until we get into those blockbusters. A lot of superhero movies coming out. That Logan movie is gonna be getting a lot of talk, I think, when that comes out.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman's finally done playing Wolverine. After like 16 years or
That's ridiculous.
18 years. Or
I couldn't
something
even
like
count
that.
the amount of Wolverine and X-Men movies
Yeah,
he's been in.
he's been playing Wolverine since like we were born, because the first X-Men movie came out in like 1999 or 2000.
It's
or
like
something
Robert
like
Downey
that.
Jr. playing Iron Man for another 10 years.
And I mean, he will be.
Facts.
Because they're not going to kill him off in Infinity War as much as they should.
Well, I hope they do.
I really
I hope everyone dies in that
really
movie.
hope they kill everyone in
Something
part
substantial needs to happen in that movie or there's going to be an issue.
one. Yeah, we were talking about this earlier, and it's just like the Star Wars movies. They're making one every year till the time I graduate college.
I like Star Wars
And
as
then
much as the
some.
next guy, but
Because
for
like
God's sakes, don't release one every year.
later this year, we've got Star Wars Episode 8. The year after that, we have the Han Solo spin-off
It's
movie.
making me not excited for Star Wars. If they had made the 2-year gap, like just Episode 7, Episode 8, Episode 9, then that's, in my opinion, still maybe even pushing it.
Yeah.
They could space them out a little more even.
In 77, when the first one came out, it was 3 years till Empire came back. It was 1980 when Empire
Right.
Strikes Back came out. They didn't see another one for 3 whole more years. There's a reason those movies worked the way they worked. And it was because people could rewatch them. They kept them at the cinema forever.
And like Rogue One had a good concept, but I'm just so done with Star Wars. I don't know how people are still excited for
Like,
it.
who's getting a spin-off movie after Han Solo? Are we going to hear...
Chewbacca?
Are we going to hear, like, a 20 movie saga about C-3PO or
I guarantee
R2-D2?
you that this is not the end of Star Wars. I guarantee you in the near future after that trilogy and then the 3 other ones, there's going to be more movies.
Yeah,
Maybe
they're
within
probably
5 years
they're
after.
probably going to go further back and they're gonna do like that Knights of Old Republic that like Star Wars fans absolutely love, and because they kind of destroyed the canon when Disney rebought the rights, and they were like, yeah, all this stuff that you've been reading for years, the comics, the extended universe novels, all that kind of stuff, they were like, yeah, that's no longer actual Star Wars, but you can still read it.
It's right here. You can read it.
Yeah, they're gonna kind of probably borrow a lot from Knights of the Old Republic, because fans of that material really love that kind of stuff, and then they'll turn that into a 3-movie trilogy.
But to be honest, though, I simply don't care about that, because I'm so burnt out on Star Wars for now. I really don't care about what happens to it.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because it's a really good movie series.
Mm-hmm.
And just doing way too much of it. How do we end up from McDonald's to talking about Star Wars when that wasn't even a trailer?
All I'm saying is Disney is the Ray Kroc of Star Wars.
Tie-ins!
Goodbye.